So what inspired the hook, "In the Back of My Mind You Died," is kind of like the storytelling aspect of the lyrics that came before it, in a way that it builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. Like, I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died. And I didn't even cry, not a single tear.
What made this particularly unsettling was the timing.
As expected, David's parents didn't take the news of Celeste's unaliving lightly. Word on the street says they'd been suspicious for a while. Something about David's late-night meetups with Celeste never sat right with them. And now, if those whispers are true, this whole situation could wreck way more than just his career. The discovery alone has left everyone stunned. Allegations that David might be tied to Celeste's unaliving have completely shattered his calm, mysterious image and thrown his parents straight into chaos.
I posted a snippet and it went crazy overnight. I got this blindfold character that you see in my music videos that's gonna expand into like these different antagonists and protagonists and like a whole anime thing. It's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be crazy.
They're suddenly at the center of a media storm, with cameras flashing and reporters begging for answers. According to early reports, their reaction was a wild mix of disbelief, heartbreak, and fierce defense, claiming their son was being misunderstood by investigators and the public alike. But before diving too deep, let's rewind for a second to see how it all began. September 8th, 2025. What should have been a normal day at a Hollywood impound lot turned into a nightmare. Workers at Hollywood Tow were just doing their daily grind when they caught a whiff of something foul. Something so strong and rotten it stopped them cold. The stench was coming from a sleek black Tesla Model 3 that had been parked there for days, untouched. But this wasn't just any car. It was registered to David Anthony Burke, better known to millions as David, the 20-year-old singer whose haunting songs like Romantic Homicide had earned him global fame. No one could have imagined that behind all that fame and sadness in his lyrics might lie something this dark. The car had been towed straight out of the Hollywood Hills after neighbors complained it had been sitting there for weeks, motionless, in one of those fancy neighborhoods where even the smallest thing raises eyebrows. But this wasn't just any weird car left behind situation. People had started to notice an unbearable stench creeping through the block. And that's when police finally stepped in. When LAPD officers showed up at the impound lot that September afternoon, they were ready for a lot of things, but not this. As they popped open the Tesla's front trunk, or frunk, what they found was pure horror. Inside, wrapped tight in layers of black plastic bags, were human remains in a state so decomposed it turned even seasoned detectives pale. The body was dismembered, mangled, and left to rot. Investigators believed it had been passed for weeks, maybe months. The smell alone told part of the story, but the gruesome condition of the remains made immediate identification nearly impossible. Still, forensic teams got right to work, determined to find out who this was and what nightmare led them here. For days, nobody knew whose body they had found. The internet went wild. TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, all flooded with theories and shock posts trying to connect the dots. How could a 20-year-old singer, who once uploaded Fortnite clips, be mixed up in something this twisted? David's sudden fame from moody tracks and viral videos now looked eerily connected to something darker than anyone could have guessed. Then, on September 17th, 2025, the truth dropped like a bomb. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner finally confirmed the remains belonged to Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 15-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California, missing since April 5th, 2024. The news shook California to its core and left fans, friends, and the entire internet speechless. Celeste's story hit home for families everywhere. The kind of pain that feels like your heart's been ripped out. Born on September 7th, 2009, she was a bright, creative teen with long, wavy black hair, warm brown eyes, and a smile that could light up any room. At just 5'1" and around 110 pounds, she was small, but full of personality. A kid with dreams, style, and big plans. When she vanished, Celeste was last seen rocking gray pants, a black sweater, a hat, and her signature Hello Kitty sandals. The kind of detail that stuck in everyone's minds. But what truly helped investigators identify her wasn't the outfit. It was something far more personal. The medical examiner's report revealed a tiny tattoo on her right index finger. The word "shh" inked in red. That one word, that single detail, turned out to be the final clue that confirmed who she was. That tattoo became one of the most haunting details of the case, a whisper of identity in a nightmare that refused to end. When confirmation came through, it was both relief and devastation for Celeste's family. Her mother, Maria Hernandez, broke down during interviews, saying she had felt something deep in her soul when news broke about the Tesla discovery. She said she'd feared this moment the second she heard about it, even before police reached out. For 17 long months, the Hernandez family had lived in agony, waiting, hoping, praying their little girl would walk through the door again, but that call never came. Celeste had last been seen on April 5th, 2024, the day she was supposed to see a movie with her brother, Matthew. They were just regular siblings planning a simple outing. And then she was gone, like she vanished into thin air. But once the car's ownership came to light, everything changed. The deeper investigators dug, the more disturbing the links became between Celeste and the Tesla's owner. The same rising star adored by millions, David Anthony Burke. The connection was undeniable, and it left everyone asking one chilling question: how close were they really? Celeste's mother later told both investigators and the media that her daughter had been seeing someone named David around the time she disappeared, and that instantly made detectives sit up straight. Could it really be that David, the same David Anthony Burke who hid behind the stage name that fans screamed for? The thought alone sent shockwaves through the entire investigation. But the connections didn't stop there, not even close. When detectives and online sleuths started digging deeper, they stumbled on something eerie. Both Celeste and David had the exact same tattoo, the word "shh" in red ink on their right index fingers. Sure, it wasn't one of a kind. Even Rihanna has one. But still, that matching detail was too specific to ignore. Suddenly, social media lit up with wild theories and heated debates about what their real connection might have been. Internet investigators went into overdrive. Soon, people started sharing screenshots from David's Discord server, showing messages allegedly between him and someone named Celeste. Messages dating back to 2022, when Celeste was only 12 years old. The screenshots were chilling, hinting at a friendship, or something far more troubling, between a rising artist and a young fan. The idea alone made people furious, demanding answers and accountability. Then came the bombshell. Reports surfaced that David had actually been spotted in the Lake Elsinore area right around the time Celeste vanished. Paparazzi photos and online posts started popping up, and suddenly the whispers turned into accusations. The dots were connecting in ways nobody wanted to believe. With public pressure exploding, the LAPD and Riverside County Sheriff's Office teamed up to launch a full-on homicide investigation. But here's the part that made it even darker. The medical examiner couldn't immediately determine how Celeste died. Her remains were too decomposed, so the cause of passing was marked as deferred, pending further tests. That uncertainty only deepened the mystery, and the silence around what really happened to Celeste felt louder than ever. Even with the body in such horrific condition, what investigators did uncover through traditional autopsy methods was nothing short of terrifying. The remains showed signs of dismemberment, and the way the body had been carefully wrapped in layers of plastic screamed one thing. This wasn't a panic move. Whoever did this had taken time, planned it out, and tried to make sure no one would ever find her. That kind of methodical cleanup told detectives they were dealing with someone cold, calculating, and deeply disturbed. As the investigation unraveled, the story of Celeste Rivas Hernandez spread like wildfire across every news network and social platform imaginable. Suddenly, all eyes were on David, the mysterious young star whose sad songs now felt way too close to real life. He was still out on his Withered World tour when the body was identified, but overnight, everything flipped. What had been a sold-out global success turned into a nightmare PR crisis that nobody on his team was prepared for. David's reps tried to control the damage fast, telling NBC News that he was fully cooperating with authorities and aware of what had happened. They stressed that he hadn't fled, that he was still on tour, and that he was doing everything by the book. But it was too late. The internet had already made up its mind. Within hours, hashtags calling for accountability trended worldwide, and public sympathy turned into outrage. The fallout hit hard and fast. On September 17th, the same day Celeste's identity was confirmed, David abruptly canceled his Seattle show, leaving fans confused and furious. That moment marked the beginning of his professional collapse. By the next day, major brands like Crocs and Hollister, who had proudly partnered with him, wiped his name clean, deleting photos, cutting deals, and pretending those collaborations never existed. The corporate world moved with lightning speed, showing just how serious the allegations had become. But behind all the chaos, law enforcement was quietly making their move. On September 18, 2025, detectives from LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division raided a Hollywood Hills rental on Doheny Place, a house David had been using during his tour breaks. The lease was under his manager, Josh Marshall, from Interscope Records, but neighbors swore they'd seen David coming and going constantly. The raid sent a message. This wasn't just rumor territory anymore. The investigation had just turned serious. The Tesla sat parked outside while the Hollywood Hills mansion became ground zero for one of LAPD's most intense searches ever. The operation stretched nearly 12 hours, with homicide detectives and the Scientific Investigation Division sweeping through every inch of the property. Their mission was crystal clear: find any trace of blood. Using luminol, a chemical that glows an eerie blue when it touches even the tiniest speck of blood, investigators went room by room in total silence, waiting for that haunting blue shimmer to expose what might have really happened there. They focused on the drains, the shower, the sink, anywhere that someone might have tried to wash away evidence of a violent crime. Every test result, every flicker of light added another layer of unease to what they were uncovering. The depth of the search told detectives something chilling. They were seriously considering the possibility that Celeste had been unalived or even dismembered inside that very house. The thought alone sent shivers through the entire neighborhood. By the end of the raid, multiple evidence bags had been hauled out. A computer, several devices, and boxes of materials now locked away for forensic testing. The whole thing looked like a scene straight out of a true crime documentary. But while the police handled things their way, the internet was running its own investigation. And it was just as relentless. On platforms like Twitter, now X, self-proclaimed online detectives were piecing together timelines, photos, and screenshots that hinted at a disturbing backstory. People started reposting images that allegedly showed David with a young girl who looked exactly like Celeste, standing next to him at LA events as early as October 2023. Some clips even appeared to show them together on a live stream with fans, laughing, talking, way too comfortable for it to be a random fan interaction. Those resurfaced photos made everyone's stomach drop. This wasn't some sudden connection. It looked like it had been going on for years. And just when things couldn't get worse, an alleged former teacher came forward with a shocking claim, one that could completely change how this entire case was viewed. According to that former teacher's shocking statement, Celeste first connected with David through social media when she was just around 12 years old. The teacher claimed Celeste had confided in him that she'd met the singer online, and that their chats quickly got personal. He said those talks might have been what pushed her to run away to Los Angeles earlier in 2024. Police eventually found her and brought her back home. But it was clear something deep and dangerous had already started. Those allegations painted a disturbing picture, one many began describing as grooming, where an older famous figure allegedly built an emotional bond with a vulnerable young girl. The details sent shockwaves through both fans and investigators. The age gap between them, David at 20, Celeste just 15 when she died, and possibly as young as 12 when things began, raised serious red flags about the nature of their relationship. People started asking the hard questions. Was this just an online friendship gone wrong, or something far more sinister? But things took another dark twist when online users uncovered what looked like musical evidence. A leaked, unreleased demo titled Celeste_demo_unfin surfaced, reportedly recorded by David himself. The track allegedly mentioned Celeste by name multiple times, blending heartbreak and obsession in a way that sent chills down everyone's spine. Though its authenticity was never confirmed, just the idea of it existing added even more weight to the growing pile of suspicion surrounding him. Social media detectives didn't stop there. They went back and started reanalyzing David's breakout hit, Romantic Homicide. And suddenly, the song's lyrics felt like something much darker. In it, he sang, "In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear." Those words, once seen as emotional art, now sounded hauntingly literal. Then came the eerie coincidence. People noticed the music video for Romantic Homicide had dropped on September 7th, 2022, the same day as Celeste's birthday. The theory blew up online, with fans convinced it was a hidden message or confession. But later, investigators clarified that the track had actually been released in July 2022, not on her birthday, debunking that theory, though not calming the public's nerves. Still, the haunting vibe around his music and the alleged personal ties to Celeste became impossible to ignore. Even in past interviews, David had admitted he knew the risks of releasing something so dark at such a young age, but no one could have guessed just how real those lyrics might turn out to be. Even though parts of the story had already been debunked, the eerie similarities between David's music and the horrific details of Celeste's passing kept the internet on fire. Every lyric, every frame of his music videos was being dissected like it held a secret confession. Fans and investigators alike couldn't ignore how his so-called art seemed to mirror real life in the darkest way imaginable. The Romantic Homicide video became the centerpiece of this theory storm. It showed David's character shooting his girlfriend and holding her body in the pouring rain, a scene so chillingly symbolic that people started calling it prophetic. The fact that the visuals looked like a preview of what would later happen in real life made everyone question whether it was just coincidence or a haunting confession hidden in plain sight. As the investigation deepened, detectives pieced together a disturbing timeline of the weeks leading up to Celeste's disappearance, and the discovery that made headlines worldwide: the black Tesla where her body was found had reportedly been sitting in the Hollywood Hills for weeks. Neighbors said they'd seen it parked in different spots as early as mid-August 2025, and several complained about a foul, sewage-like smell that hung in the air. Nobody thought it would lead to a homicide case. Eventually, that same Tesla was towed from Bluebird Avenue near Doheny Drive after residents reported it abandoned. Under normal circumstances, cars get a 72-hour notice before removal, but this one sat way past that limit. The fact that it lingered in such an upscale area for so long suggested something deliberate. Like whoever left it there wanted to get as far away from it as possible, hoping the evidence would rot away unnoticed. Meanwhile, David went completely silent. No posts, no statements, no denials, nothing. His last tweet on X, formerly Twitter, was on September 1st, 2025, a full week before the body was discovered. From a legal standpoint, his silence might have been smart, but to the public it looked guilty. The lack of emotion, the missing apology, the total absence of acknowledgement only made people more suspicious about his mindset and whether he was hiding something. But beyond the gossip and theories, something deeper started bubbling up. Child safety advocates and experts on online exploitation began weighing in, calling this case a wake-up call for the entertainment world. They pointed out how young fans are dangerously accessible to celebrities through apps like Discord, TikTok, and Instagram, where boundaries blur and adults can easily manipulate kids without supervision. This wasn't just about one tragic case anymore. It was becoming a conversation about how fame, fandom, and the internet can twist into something fatal. As the investigation into Celeste Rivas Hernandez's passing keeps unfolding, it's no longer just about one heartbreaking crime. It's become a full-blown cultural reckoning. This case has forced the world to look at celebrity power, internet access, and how young fans are left exposed in spaces where fame meets manipulation. The tragedy has shaken the music industry to its core, sparking urgent talks about the dark side of online fan culture and the responsibility that comes with influence, especially when your audience includes minors. The accusations surrounding David didn't just stain his name, they rattled the whole industry. Managers, PR agents, and even other artists have been quietly reevaluating how they interact with their younger fan bases. The fear is real, because if these claims hold weight, it would mean the system that glorifies fame might have also helped enable exploitation. Meanwhile, detectives are still working around the clock to uncover the truth. The LA County Medical Examiner's Office has faced massive forensic hurdles. The state of decomposition made a traditional autopsy nearly impossible. Specialists have had to use advanced forensic testing and timeline reconstruction techniques just to figure out when Celeste died, and what really happened in those missing 17 months between her disappearance and the horrifying discovery in the Tesla. But as the scientific work continued, the online world exploded with new disturbing allegations. Social media investigators uncovered screenshots from alleged Instagram DMs said to be between Celeste and her close friends. In them, she allegedly described non-consensual encounters involving David and another man named Gus, believed to be Gustavo Osorio, someone reportedly in David's circle. The alleged messages, first posted on September 17, 2025, included claims that Celeste had been hurt during her time with David and that Gus had taken advantage of her while she was under the influence. Another person, identified as Shelly, supposedly warned Celeste in those same messages to be careful around David. Law enforcement has not confirmed these screenshots as authentic, but their circulation online added a horrifying new layer to an already devastating case. Whether real or fabricated, they struck a nerve, because if true, they point to an even deeper level of exploitation and trauma than anyone first realized. Online sleuths quickly connected Gus to a verified Instagram account belonging to Gustavo Osorio, someone followed by David himself, until the exact day the screenshots went viral. On September 17, 2025, David abruptly unfollowed Gustavo, just hours after the allegations surfaced. That timing didn't go unnoticed. It fueled even more suspicion, leaving fans, investigators, and the public demanding answers louder than ever. Investigators later confirmed that Gus wasn't just some random name. He was a real member of David's Discord server. His profile existed, his chats were traceable, and although no incriminating messages have been recovered so far, the fact that he was part of David's tight online circle raised serious questions. Shortly after the allegations hit the internet, the server's invites were shut down, locking out new members and freezing activity as police continued their digital search for evidence. For Celeste's family, the constant headlines have been a bittersweet mix, painful reminders of her loss, but also a flicker of hope that justice might finally come. They've launched a verified GoFundMe campaign to help cover her funeral costs, describing Celeste as a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend whose life was stolen far too soon. Donations have poured in from all over the country, with messages of love, heartbreak, and outrage flooding the page. The outpouring of support has been overwhelming, proof that even strangers felt her story deeply. Meanwhile, David's once thriving career has taken a brutal nosedive. The fallout has been relentless. Tour dates canceled, sponsorships cut, and now even his streaming numbers are shifting in strange ways. Some platforms have seen a sharp drop as fans boycott his music entirely, while others report a spike from people morbidly curious to hear the lyrics differently. It's a chilling reminder of how scandal can both destroy and distort fame at the same time. Just a year ago, David was living every young artist's dream. Viral hits, sold-out shows, and a fan base that adored his mysterious aura. Now, he's facing the real possibility that his career may be permanently over. But the bigger threat isn't commercial. It's legal. Legal experts following the case have warned that if David ends up charged and convicted in connection with Celeste's passing, he could be staring down life in prison without parole. California law hits especially hard in homicide cases involving minors, particularly when there's proof of vulnerability or a prior relationship between the victim and the accused. And that's not all. Potential federal charges could also come into play if investigators find evidence of grooming or interstate contact through online platforms. The comparisons are already being drawn to past scandals where famous musicians faced major criminal trials. But this case feels heavier, more personal, because it's not just about fame gone wrong. It's about a young girl who never got the chance to grow up, and a star whose silence might end up being his loudest statement yet. Some observers have compared this case to that of rapper Billy Adams, who was convicted in 2024 for the first-degree homicide of his pregnant girlfriend, a conviction that ended his career overnight and left him serving life behind bars. Others brought up Snoop Dogg's 1996 trial, when he was acquitted of homicide charges and later rebuilt his empire, showing that sometimes artists can bounce back, but only if they're found completely innocent. Still, this situation feels way different, way darker. The fact that Celeste was a minor changes everything. Allegations of grooming, manipulation, and abuse have made this case radioactive. No PR team, no apology video, no redemption arc could ever clean up something like this. In today's post-thought Me Too world, any accusation involving minors hits a cultural nerve that the public and the industry refuses to ignore. Even as the gossip rages online, the LAPD has remained cautious and tight-lipped. As of September 18, 2025, officials confirmed that they're still chasing multiple leads but haven't made any arrests or named any official suspect yet. Detectives emphasize that the investigation is ongoing, warning the public not to jump to conclusions or spread false rumors that could interfere with their work. But silence hasn't stopped the internet from digging deeper, spinning theories by the minute. Behind the scenes, forensic experts are still combing through everything seized during that Hollywood Hills raid. And the process is slow. The evidence includes biological samples, digital data, and possibly hidden communication logs that could reveal where David was, who he talked to, and what really happened in the weeks before Celeste disappeared. Investigators have said it could take months to analyze everything properly. But those results might be the key to unlocking the full timeline of this tragedy. Meanwhile, the entire music industry is feeling the ripple effects. Record labels, streaming platforms, and even social media giants are under pressure to protect minors more aggressively from potential exploitation by artists and influencers. Industry insiders say new safety protocols and monitoring systems are already being discussed. Background checks, age-gating fan communications, and stricter social media oversight for celebrities. This case has exposed something that's been ignored for too long. How the line between artist and fan can become dangerously blurred when fame, access, and youth collide. And whether or not David is ever charged, his story has already become a warning, a symbol of how quickly fame can turn into infamy when the truth starts to surface. This entire case has also exposed just how powerful and dangerous social media can be when it comes to modern criminal investigations. Online users have basically turned into amateur detectives, digging through old photos, comments, and archives, sometimes even finding clues before official investigators. It's wild, but it's also risky. While some of this crowdsourced digging has helped highlight real evidence, it's also caused chaos, spreading misinformation, leading to the harassment of innocent people, and at times even disrupting police efforts trying to do the real work. For the music community that once celebrated David as a rising voice of pain and vulnerability, these accusations hit like a thunderclap. Here was a 20-year-old artist who built his entire image on emotional truth, heartbreak, and mental health, only to now be tied to one of the most disturbing scandals the internet has ever seen. People who once praised his honesty are now questioning whether his lyrics were confessions all along. The emotional, fragile kid they thought they knew suddenly feels like a stranger. As this investigation continues to unfold, one thing's for sure. Celeste Rivas's passing has shaken more than just one corner of the internet. It's forced everyone, from fans to labels to law enforcement, to rethink how we protect young people in an era where fame and danger coexist online. The case has sparked massive conversations about celebrity responsibility, digital boundaries, and the real cost of unfiltered access between stars and their youngest supporters. No matter what happens next in court, the impact of this tragedy is already permanent. The search for justice for Celeste continues, and her family's desperate call for answers has united thousands who refuse to let her story fade away. Across the country, people are demanding accountability, demanding reform, and praying that this heartbreak might finally bring change, to protect other young souls from being lost the same way. Thank you for watching. And if you've been following this heartbreaking story, don't forget to comment your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. I'll see you in the next one.